Okay.
The conference is now being recorded.
Any other directors that didn't hear their name? Okay, and committee chairs. Tammy, Becky?
Present.
Vicki? Mindy?
Present.
Tony?
Here.
Kathy?
Here.
Les?
Here.
Debbie Staley, Tammy Bowman. Okay. So the only district representative that we're missing is the CED from District 4 and the CED from District 8. Amanda, are you on? Okay. All right. I'm done with roll call.
Okay. We're gonna get going. Minutes. I emailed all the minutes to everybody. Made some corrections and revisions where I forgot some individuals. Colleen had me make a correction. So everybody should have gotten the revised minutes. Did anybody not get them? Okay, I'm going to assume that means everybody got them. So I need a motion to accept the minutes.
Tammy will do that.
In a second.
Vicki, second. Who did that? Vicki. Thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next is the Secretary Treasurer's report. It was emailed as well. Did everybody get a chance to review that? And if you didn't, let me know. But did anybody have any questions with it? Okay, if there aren't any, I need a motion to accept the Secretary Treasurer's report.
Last guys.
And a second.
Tammy will.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried to accept the Secretary Treasurer's report.
Sarah, let me make one note that I did get the tax filing information done, and it came back in the mail last night.
Okay.
So I need to get with you because I need your signature on that, and that has to be gone by November 15th. So we need to talk about a time to meet so that I can get your signature on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to do that? Do you work tomorrow?
No, tomorrow's my day off. We can talk about it after the call. I don't want to bore everybody with it, but I just wanted everybody to know that that is completed and getting sent off. And that is, there's a $400 charge from my tax preparer, which is the same amount that we've paid the last few years. So.
Okay. Well, then I will talk to you about it after. I did not get an IACS report. I know Mike Albin sat in on our last conference call. Is Mike on today?
No, he's not.
Okay. So we'll just bypass that. We're going to go ahead and jump into old business. We're going to talk about the upcoming convention. Tammy, I don't know if you want to lead off on this or Debbie kick in and say anything or
Let's have Debbie. Do you have some information on the Continental Tire Tour?
Yes.
Okay, let's start off with that.
Okay. I've talked to them out there. They said it shouldn't be a problem to get a tour. The tour lasts approximately an hour. He said they can, it depends on how quickly they go through, and he said just kind of tell him what we wanted. And I told him a walkthrough would be fine. There is no cost involved. The plant is about 20 minutes from the resort. As far as clothing, anyone going on the tour would be required to wear closed-toed shoes, no high heels, and preferably no white clothes. It is a rubber plant.
Okay.
There is no minimum on how many, but they like to keep it between 20 and 30.
Okay.
So that would be kind of the maximum. Nah, that's about it. Unless somebody has questions.
What tour is this, Debbie, again?
It's the Continental Tire plant.
Oh, okay. Those are my questions, Debbie, so thank you. What does the group, are you wanting to do the tire tour, or what is everybody's thoughts on this? What's our convention schedule look like on Friday as far as having timeliness of this? Sarah, did you get information from the state office that they're going to do the Q&A again?
I have not been able to directly talk to Sherry. I won't get to do that till Monday or Tuesday, and that is one of the things that I have on my list to ask her. Now, previously, she said that they would be there, but
They'd probably want to do that Friday afternoon, wouldn't they?
I would think.
Okay. And if, this is a big if, there was anybody coming from D.C., they would probably want Friday afternoon also, wouldn't they, Charlene? Yeah, but I would highly doubt we're going to get anybody from D.C. I agree with you. That was just a big if. We'll be lucky if they attend the rallies. Okay. So basically we're looking at a board meeting in the morning like we usually do, and then if we wanted to do the tire tour, and then Q&A second session with state office and whatever else we wanted to throw in there late afternoon. Is that what you're thinking, Sarah?
Yep, that would be about it.
The only thing is, you know, last year we went through this with Sherry, having it in Springfield. She didn't want her people on any kind of overtime, and I don't know how far this resort is from Springfield, but if we do the leave at 12:30 and come back at 3 o'clock and have the Q&A after that, it's going to put her people on overtime.
It's about a 3-hour trip.
Debbie, do you know how late they would do a tour? Like, would they do one at 3 at the latest, or 3:30?
I don't know the time frame, but I can find out.
Okay. Maybe that's what I'm hearing. Maybe if it would work out, maybe board meeting in the morning, start right up at 12:31 with Q&A and whatever else, and be out there by 3:30 if they would allow that.
Okay.
What do you think, Sarah?
I think that sounds all right. What weekend again is it? March
23rd through the 24th.
23rd and 24th.
Uh-huh.
I just couldn't remember off the top of my head. So maybe part of that we need to wait till I can talk to Sherry to even see if we can do that. If not, we'll have to decide what we want Friday afternoon.
Is there other comments from the members or chairs about the tour? Are we okay with that?
I think it sounds like a plan. My question would be is if we do it after that, I could see the potential for a lot more people on the tour. Would they consider a couple tours if we do have over 30?
Yes, I'm sure they would do 2 different tours, yes.
Okay, because that would be the only thing. We have people come for the Q&A. What would they do during that period of time? Well, I'm sure they could keep entertained, but if there wasn't something organized, I could see a lot of people want to participate.
Okay, so we'll leave that to Sarah to check in the state office, and then once we find that out, Debbie could check out about, you know, how late they would go with the tour, and then we'll work with it from there.
Okay. Did you ever hear back from the other guy?
The Magic Man?
Yes.
I think Randy sent out, did you send out to all the board members, Randy, about the Magic on menu or something like that?
I forwarded to you and Sarah.
Okay. I have sent in an email. He has not got back with me, Sarah, so as soon as I hear from him, I know I kind of looked on his website and looked like a lot of them were done. The Magic thing was kind of done during their banquet thing, so are we looking at having it done during the luncheon, or do you have any preference on this? So when I contact him or he gets back with me, I can kind of give him a feel of what we're looking for.
think I was thinking more Friday evening, but
More Friday evening. Okay, so something like maybe from 7 to 8 or 8 to 9 or something like that? Kind of like an early evening before the dance?
kind of how we had it, where we put sheltered reality
Okay, all right.
previously, in the previous years.
Yeah, and I have no idea on that website. I couldn't find rates or anything. It might be totally out of the ballpark. It might be something we can look into the future, but I'll get all the information and get back with everybody as soon as he contacts me back then.
No problem.
Okay, now, there has been some confusion on the room rates. The contract says the government employee's room rate is $60. I know a couple people had called and they were given the $69 rate. I have had a phone call in and emails in to the lady in charge, and I don't know if she's just so busy she can't get back with me. I've done 2 phone calls this week and an email, and she hasn't got back with me. So I called again at lunchtime, or well, it was right after lunch, and she wasn't in, she was out, and I talked to the front desk and told her my dilemma, and she looked it up, and she says in the system it's $60 government rate for one person and $69 government rate for 2 people. So before we publicize it, I want to talk to the lady that I've been working with on the contract about that. So to get a clarification if that's the way it is. The contract just says government employee room rate $60. And like I said, I know some of you were quoted $69, and I don't know if that's because you said 2 people and maybe that's the way it is. But I do want to talk to the lady in charge. Hopefully she will get back with me at some point. So that's where that stands. Has anybody else? I know it was Kim and Vicki. Did you talk to the hotel, the resort also?
No, not yet.
Okay, so it was just Kim Taylor I know had talked to him this summer, I believe it was, and they had said 69. Wasn't that right, Kim?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So, like I said, I'm off next week. I'm going to keep on hounding every day. I'll call and see if I can talk to that lady.
I'll try to send her an email too, and
Okay, that'd be fine.
I will just mention that if you haven't called, that the nicer rooms are the botels.
The Botels?
Hotels, yes. They have like ship names.
Okay.
The Windsor and I forget what the other one is. There's one that's very close to the bar, so for those of you who like to drink a lot, it might be a good one to get there.
Okay.
After for the one close to the bar is connected.
Close to the bar. All right.
There's like 3 botels.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions on room rates or anything?
They are supposed to be the same rates.
Yeah.
All the same rates.
Right, and that's in the contract, so when I talk to Gina, I will verify that again.
Yeah.
Okay. The registration form, do we still want to do the early bird drawing at $25, and we need to set a date for the early bird registration if we want to do that? I know it's helpful for the person, which will be Charlene, for registration.
I think it's gone over well in the past. I don't see any reason to change that. So we probably need to have a motion somebody, right?
Yeah, I do the early bird drawing.
Yes.
Does somebody want to make a motion that we go ahead and make the early bird registration $25 again, and then
Set a date.
set a date? I'm going to look at my calendar here real quick. My phone. But while I'm checking that, somebody could be making a motion.
First, I would like to ask, when we're talking about early bird, in conjunction with if we do this tour, at what time do we need tour numbers into them? That's true, too. Because we kind of worked around that with our early bird before. Right. Even so, if the convention is the 23rd, I would have the early bird by March 5th.
I kind of talked to the guy at Continental Tire, and I told him that it would be like the end of February, 1st of March. We could get him definite numbers, and he said that would be fine.
Okay,
So
great.
March 5th would work.
So March 5th, let's just do that, or would that be early enough to say our deadline for the tour, Debbie, or you want to confirm that with them?
That's fine. I'll mention it to him,
Okay.
I won't bring it up, but I think that would be fine.
Okay, great. Well, then I make a motion that we have the early bird drawing of $25 and set the early bird registration for March 5th.
I'll second it. That's Carla. Okay, do we have to do discussion or no? Get me straight on this.
Well, you can ask if anybody has any.
You offer it, don't have to wait a couple seconds, and then that's for a vote.
Okay, does anybody want to discuss it any further? No? All those in favor of having the early bird registration, $25, and have it in by March 5th, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next thing, luncheon buffet, we can do one entree, which would be $14.98 maximum total, and $14.98 maximum, and $18.74 for two entrees. So on the buffet, you want to go one or two entrees. In choice of entrees, which Debbie and Sarah and I could work on it, it's fried chicken, meatloaf, stuffed pork chop, fried chicken, fried steak, fried chicken breast, or fried catfish. And then all dinners include mashed potatoes, home-style gravy, fresh vegetable, and tossed salad and rolls, along with Chuck's famous brownies. I think two meats would be
Better.
Yeah, okay, we'll go two. All right, next thing, the registration fee. Last year it was $10, and the year before that was $5 for registering to come to the convention. Okay, back up a second here. For two,
Yes, sorry.
For two entrees, how much is it? $18.74. $18.74. So what if we make it $25 includes everything? So if you're going to do buffet, luncheon, and $5 registration? Well, yeah, $20 lunch, and that would make it an even $25 then.
I like the $5 registration, and yes, I agree, 25 would be get you for everything.
Do we need a motion, Sarah?
Yeah, we probably need a motion. Does somebody want to make a motion?
Vicki makes a motion that we have $5 for registration and $25 for it all.
Do I have a second?
Sammy, second.
Do I have any discussion? If not, all in favor of making $5 registration, $20 for lunch, $25 total for everything at the convention, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next item, do we want to still have me check into a working lunch during the board meeting? I think that's going to depend when the Q&A is. Okay, we can wait for that then. But if it's like, at 1 o'clock, do you think we better do that then?
Yes.
Okay. And we can discuss that later. I just wondered what the feel was. Well, and I guess my thought is because possible we could have been to a LUDGE conference before that, and we might have some things to talk about. Okay.
Something else to think about is that it's quite a distance and quite some time to an eating establishment unless you eat there on the grounds, and there's only one place to eat on the grounds.
Correct.
So if we're going to need, and I don't remember, when I was there before, it's not real fast, so I guess something to think about is when we would need to be back after lunch, and if we need to be back within an hour, I think we need to have a working lunch or have an option, because you won't make it back in time.
Oh. Then my question is going to be, if we have a working lunch, is there someplace close to order something?
I defer to Debbie.
Well, if we know ahead of time, I'm coming from Mount Vernon, so I can bring, or I can have someone bring the lunch.
Like sandwiches or pizza or something like that then, right?
Right.
But I don't know if we can do that in the convention meeting room.
Right.
You can bring stuff in hospitality rooms, but they usually don't let you bring stuff in to their meeting rooms.
Yeah, we just need to check with Gina on that. And if that doesn't work, they have two restaurants. They have like a sports bar, and then they have a restaurant area. We could tell them ahead of time what we needed, what time we wanted, and I think they would have it ready.
Okay.
I forgot about the restaurant bar. You're correct.
or, you know, as far as sandwiches and stuff.
Okay, so we can hold off on that till we know about the Q&A for sure?
Yep, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Okay, and then I guess the next thing was about if we wanted to group game on Friday night, but that's probably going to depend about the gentleman with the magic act, and then we can decide later. Whoever signs up for entertainment can help me on that. Everybody don't laugh at once. I mean, we could do cornhole again, or we could do something else. But we can decide about that later.
We can send out an email about that when the time comes.
Right. Whoever's in charge of the hospitality room, you're to make sure there's drinks and light snacks in that room, and then come up with a theme. That's just always been what we've done there. DJ service. Do we want to check out somebody locally in that area, or do we want to ask Jeff for his services? What's everybody's thought on that one?
Jeff's pretty reasonable if he's willing.
It's very reasonable.
Now, I don't think you're going to find anybody that is the same price as Jeff.
Right. Okay. So we're okay with me checking him out then, see if I know he's moved, but if they can still provide that service.
Sure, Tammy, you check him out and let
Yeah, I'll check him out. Okay. Now, usually each county bring a door prize, each district bring a silent auction item. At our last board meeting, we had a discussion about items for the registration bag, and I think Colleen came up with a really good idea of maybe doing half the districts. So I talked to Sarah, and if it would be okay for districts 5, 6, and 7 to bring a item to put into the registration bag, and then next year we'll flip-flop the districts.
I think that's a fabulous idea.
Raffle tickets, I do have them. I will either mail them to you or figure out how to get them to district meetings, but you will get them in plenty of time in order to disperse out to your counties.
What if you give them to Brian and have him give them out at a DD meeting?
Yeah.
I know that's risky, but...
He can do it. Debbie, I do have your cookbook money. He came by Tuesday with it.
There is a DD meeting coming up the 16th and 17th, so that might be a good...
That'll be perfect, because I can give it, Charlene, I can have Richard probably bring it.
Okay.
For you guys' district. Are you in with, you're in with Edgar County, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be perfect.
Tammy, how many registration bags are you?
We typically try to do between 100 and 125. It kind of depends on, with Charlene knowing the registration numbers maybe a week or two in advance, but usually between 100 and 125.
Okay.
And Sarah sent out the convention committees to sign up. I've been receiving some. I'll update that after the board meeting and send it out next week, and then you can see where everybody needs to fill in. And I think that's it. Does anybody else have any concerns or something new to be brought up or anything else? I will work on, once we get some of these more set details, I'll work on getting a registration form out, some information, and probably work with Debbie about information in the area then.
Yeah, I'll help you with that.
Sounds great.
Restaurants, different places that would be, you know, of interest to see.
Okay.
Too.
That sounds good. Anything else?
I will also check on if we can get kind of maybe just a vocal thing, but if there are people interested in clay shooting, is that what someone was asking about earlier?
My husband would love that.
I can check, as I know a couple of guys who are somewhat professional at it, to see if there could be something arranged for that.
Okay.
Since spouses will be sort of, you know,
Great.
right there.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else to do with the convention? All right. We're going to go on and move on to the membership drive. Kathy Frost, I know her and I have emailed back and forth. Kathy, you want to talk about it for just a second?
Sure. I'm in the process of putting together a letter to send out to non-members to encourage them to join NASCO. I think Charlene's working getting me a list of non-members to contact. I also need to contact the employees who have retired and those who are going to be retiring to see if continue their associate membership. Also, we need to encourage everyone to give us home email addresses. Going through the list of members, we don't have a lot of home email addresses, so with everything that's going on, I think we need to really focus on getting home email addresses so we can stay in touch with everyone. I got an email this morning from Vicki Olson, the Midwest Area Membership Chairman, and she said that the Midwest area was the only area to get 100% of their dues in on time, so woohoo, good job, Charlene. And she is asking for ideas from all of the states in our area as to how people encourage members to join NASCO. So she's going to put together a list of ideas and send that out. So hopefully we'll get some good ideas from some of the other states on how we can encourage our non-members to join NASCO. And if anyone else has ideas, feel free to pass them on to me. That's all I have.
Does anybody have anything they want to add or ask?
Sarah, I think you need to send something to the state office. Every year we have quite a few members join from the state office, and I don't have one yet. So
Right.
I don't know if that transmittal got lost when you sent it down there or what, but I haven't heard from anybody, and that's not normal.
Well, I'll add that to my list of things to bring up to Sherry when we're talking, because I also have to come up with like a list to send to associate members, or a letter or whatever.
Right, because we had somewhere around 50 plus last year, and so far I have
20
just over 20.
Right. So, and membership, I'm just going to put it out there. I think with everything that's coming, it's likely that we'll see a drop in membership, so we really kind of need to do what we can now. So, Kathy, I know you and I'll be talking, and if anybody else has ideas, please share them. You talk to people in the office, you kind of know what they're saying. Maybe they're not members. Share it with us. Maybe there's something we need to be doing different.
Or sometimes if you can field a question for them and they maybe didn't quite understand how things worked before,
That is a true statement. So that'll just be something we are going to have to focus on in the coming months. Does anybody else have anything with that? No? Then we will move on. Colleen, do you want to give us an update on Midas?
That would be great. They have different steps through this process, and they saying that the blueprinting phase will be done on Monday, and they start into the realization, which will run through June. And during this realization period, they're going to choose certain change agents for testing the software, and then other change agents throughout the United States may be added. Right now we have 2 per state, but they're talking possibly of adding a few more of them, and I'm sure they will be helping then with training maybe a year from now. They sent out the October newsletter, and I forwarded that on out to everyone, and they said that the winter newsletter will be probably in January. Illinois was number 6 with 284 hits on the web page, so we're shining pretty well as far as Midas is concerned. They sent out a request on possibly doing a dashboard, and they wanted input on that. And what a dashboard is the way I understand it, when a producer's name is pulled up, then there will be like a place for notes where if he needs to sign something, we're kind of hoping that maybe it'll show, what forms have been signed, what forms need to be signed. They really were not, they did not finalize anything for sure on that. So all of us put a few things in, but I have not heard any more on that at all. But look for things like that to be coming out. Again, if you have any suggestions, complaints, anything as far as Midas they want to know about it, the more input, the better they like it. And our next conference call was supposed to be today, but they canceled it, so it'll be November 15th. So that's pretty much it.
Thanks.
Colleen, do you know if having any effects of the budget yet, or any downfalls to this project because of what's going to maybe take place?
Nothing has been said about the budget at all.
Okay.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? That's what I was going to ask too. So,
if you have anything, like if you're thinking, oh, I wish we could do this, now's the time to get it in, because the way I understand it, this blueprinting was, they took all of the ideas that came in when they went across the country and had different meetings and had lists, and they've gone through and voted on what they thought was important and what wasn't, but it's still not too late to change something. So if you have any concerns, be sure and get them in.
thanks, Colleen. Does anybody else have any questions for her? Okay. If not, did somebody say something? Sorry about that. Then we'll go ahead and move on to budget, which I really don't have anything new to add. I'm sure Sherry, being in Atlanta, maybe is getting an update that way. It isn't good, but I think we all probably know that. So I don't think we really have to, unless somebody else has something they want to add. It's just not good. Does anybody have any other old business they'd like to discuss?
Sarah, did you get numbers for VSIP or anything yet?
No, and as far as I know right now, those that applied for the VSIP still have not been contacted.
Okay.
They were supposed to find out today.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe they're waiting for a grand 4:30 time to let them know. They are supposed to, the individuals are supposed to get emails. I do know that the state office, in preparation for those that applied, that they knew applied or whatever, they did get packets already. So they could be getting that stuff filled out. And that they all have to be done by December 3rd. That's all I know about VSIP right now.
Okay.
So if there isn't anything else with old business, we'll go ahead and move on to the new business. As I think most of you are aware, Brad Grotefant and I went to a meeting at the state office on September 27th. We met with the DDs, Sherry, Kent, Claudia, and Laura, I think is everybody that was in. And Brad, do you want to talk some about it?
No?
You're fine.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Well, they discussed office consolidations. Illinois, there were 10, and I know that the state office has submitted the plan to consolidate the offices. To my knowledge, there is still no approval from Washington, D.C. I think all the DDs were in agreement with the 10. The only thing I really requested was that the people in those offices be made aware that they were, there was that potential. I wanted it done before the VSIPs were offered because I thought then that would give people, that might have changed their minds. Maybe some of them would have applied that didn't apply. They'd know what was maybe lying ahead. Give them a heads up. And I also didn't want Illinois to be the first one to jump on this, and then later, because of the savings from us closing offices or consolidating, whatever you want to call it, that the other states wouldn't have to do the same. They assure me that's not going to happen. Take it for what it's worth. I don't know.
Sarah, do you know were those offices notified at all?
To my knowledge, they were not unless their DD told them.
Were you told the 10 offices?
I'm sorry, what?
Were you told the name of the 10 offices?
I was, and...
Hey, I don't need to know. I just wondered if you were.
Well, as much as I want to tell the people in that office, my hands are kind of, they're tied. I have a pretty good relationship with the state office right now. We can work together. I don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize that, because I think we're going to need that.
Sure, I agree.
Here in a hurry. So, but to my knowledge, those 10 offices don't know, and my guess is they're not telling them because they don't have the approval yet. Is that kind of, does that sum it up, Brad?
Yeah, it sums it up pretty well. And everybody's seen we spent all day looking at all the stuff they posted on the Illinois Internet after that, so all, the big long spreadsheet for each county, we spent a lot of time, dissecting each of those columns, but, it really wasn't needed really that day, but went through so everybody understood what the numbers meant, where they came from, and things like that. So, yeah, we were there all day, but really, you covered pretty much the summary of all of it. And at that time, the 10 offices were mentioned, but it really wasn't, I wouldn't even say it was on the stovetop. It wasn't even on the back burner, because at that point, Sherry was pretty much being shut down by Washington with the idea of consolidating offices and stuff. So that's really just kind of come up onto the back burner, now maybe to the front burner just in the last week or two.
The criteria they used for determining the levels, my understanding is that's not going to change at this point. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yeah.
And
They've kind of used that model, and they're just going to stick with it for now.
they seem to be pretty happy with it, so. And I don't really know what else they could have done to change it.
Right.
So you're saying when you guys went up there in September, they were just this is the plan, the 10 counties, but since that time, they've now submitted those counties to Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
That day, actually, Sherry didn't want to talk about it a whole lot at all, because she honestly didn't think it was going to have any chance in heck that it was going to be brought up.
Okay, I didn't realize they'd submitted names yet. Okay, or counties.
Yes. That's my understanding, that all the states had to have their consolidation list, or whatever you want to call it, to D.C., and it's probably been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, does anybody else, do you have questions about it, or that may be the least of the problems right now. If nobody else has any questions, I'm going to move on to, we're going to have director elections coming up, and to top it off, we're going to have new district lines, probably December, after, Bill Cox has made sure about it. He applied for the VSIP and is counting down his days. So there will be new district lines. They are discussing making them, I don't know, permanent, but, more permanent district lines. So when they go to hire a new DD, they're going to know what area they're getting. It's not going to be change the lines every time somebody comes in. So we need to discuss, we're going to go down to 6 DDs. Right now we have 2 representatives for each area, each district. We are going to have fewer employees, but do we want to go down to 12 directors? And I know some of you have to have thoughts on this.
I think what our bylaws say is that we follow the lines of the districts as they are established at the time of the election. So that would indicate that we would go down to 6 districts,
So 12.
the 12 directors then.
Okay, then
It does seem like kind of a reduction compared to what we've had, but if Illinois is going to look at a 10% reduction overall, I think that's kind of what they're looking at nationwide, FSA. Just reality is that we're going to have probably fewer members. Do we need as many directors? Do we need the expense of many directors? Can 12 sufficiently represent the members in Illinois? I think they can. We could possibly have an at-large for the North and the South, but I don't know if that's needed.
Does
That's just
anybody
some
else
thoughts.
have any thoughts?
I know I would agree with that. It just seems to make sense, simple, to follow the district lines. I don't know that you can outguess what's going to happen to district numbers now, and it appears that we're going to have 6. To me, it just seems to make sense to follow those and reduce it down.
Okay, well, if that's what the bylaws are, I mean, we pretty much have to do that, so.
The only thing is, you're gonna have to stop and think a minute. We've got another DD that's probably gonna retire, and it's possible we're gonna go down to 5.
Right, but that won't be till
Spring.
April, May, so that would at least get us through the next election. Because I plan on sending out nomination forms in December, and then have the election, send out ballots January, have them returned in February, so about the second week of February, so those new directors will know. Or do I have to do that, let them know by the end of January?
One thing we need to take into consideration, we need to be very careful, and that is not supposed to be done on government email.
Correct.
I'm just throwing that out there. The nomination forms should not go through the government email.
Correct. I have to mail them.
Right, okay. Well, I'm just throwing that out there because I want everybody to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do we have to have those done by the end of January, or can the elections carry over to February?
I was of the opinion, and maybe I need some help, as long as the process and the directors are elected before the next convention, which would be the end of March, I don't know if there is a deadline. Any of you veterans remember? But as long as we have it done, let's say by the middle of March, the directors are notified. The concern that I have is the last 2 times the districts have changed right after the elections. I'm hoping that these districts will be defined before the election process finishes up.
The only thing is, that's late. They need to be done by the second week in February because you've got to have directors have enough time to make reservations for the convention, and if somebody gets elected that, maybe wasn't planning on going to the you got to allow
That's a valid point.
for that. I think this needs to be done by the election needs to be finished by the second week in February. That way people have time to plan.
And that is what I will do. Does anybody else have anything to add to that?
It seems like when I was president, I sent it out like the 1st of February, so I think you're right on target.
But I need to send out the nomination forms before that.
But you're going to have to kind of wait and see when they draw the new district lines. If
Right, so it might be January. It was kind of my understanding that they would have the new district lines in December. I think they already know what they want district-wise.
I think they've already got the lines drawn, Sarah.
Yeah, I do too, but
They've got a lot of things down there that we don't know about. I think that's probably pretty much a done deal.
I would,
Well, if you can get that before, that will sure help in any confusion like we've had the last two times where we've had district lines change right after the election or right after the convention. So that would be great.
okay, that's what I'll do then. Is there anything else to add to that?
You guys, Bill Cox is going to be gone by December the 3rd. You're going to know those lines the beginning of December.
Yes, I believe you're correct. I would agree with that statement. So
I agree. I think when Bill goes, they'll be right out either into that to show everybody where those new lines are.
Mhm.
okay, I'm sure the new district lines will be decided probably the 16th and 17th when they are at their next DD conference. So we'll know something soon enough for me to get those nomination forms out.
So your goal, we're going to send those nomination forms out like Martin Luther mid-January. That way we can have because doesn't the election supposed to take aren't you supposed to give them 2 weeks?
2 weeks. I kind of wanted them out before, but
Right.
I mean, I can wait till January. I was just thinking we had 1 year where they went out late and we were really rushed, and then instead I think we were kind of calling people and
Okay.
How about send them out after the holidays, like the 1st of January?
3rd of January or something.
okay, that'll work.
Then 2 weeks they would have them back by Martin Luther.
Yeah, and that'll give us time to get everything mailed out to everybody.
Right. Yep. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. If there isn't anything else on that, I'm going to move on to, we could have a legislative conference come up in February, just to make things exciting. Right now we have some NASCO members out in D.C. I'm just going to call it an emergency fly-in. I don't really know what they want to term it, but just individuals from the states with members on the super committee are out there. Correct, Charlene?
That's correct. And they're on their way home.
Okay, so it was a quick fly-in. Have you heard how those meetings went?
I'm getting some positive feedback. I know that they were able to do this because they met with the 12 super committee, at least somebody from their staff, plus Peterson and Stebanow. They actually met with Peterson for an hour. Stebanow was not at the meeting, but they did meet with her aide. And then last night they had a powwow. Everybody that was there, and Bob Redding, who's our legislative consultant from D.C., and they talked about, responses they got back and such, and I understand that they really had a good discussion and a good meeting last night, and I think they feel pretty good about it. I mean, I know they've heard some things that maybe they weren't thrilled about, but this way we're going to kind of know where we're at anyway.
Okay. So it may be necessary to go out again in February, or that was kind of the timeline they gave, and I think it was the NASCO now. So we need to decide, if they do that, how many does Illinois want to send, who do we send, and should we give them a stipend?
Will this be targeted to certain people in the House or Senate that are on either ag or appropriations, or do you know?
I think it'd be a full legislative conference if we have one.
It could be then. So you'd be looking at meeting everybody on the Hill again. So you're looking at 18, well, it's still 19 at this point, 19 plus 2. So if we were really wanting to do a full hit, minimum of 4, and 6 works better, but I'd say if we're going to try to do a full, you need enough people to make those appointments.
Yeah.
And again, that's if they have one, correct?
That's correct. If there's no reason to go out, they won't hold one.
So, Tony, I mean, what are your thoughts?
If we do a full legislative conference, trying to get to all of the different congressional offices and the 2 senators' offices, you just about have to have
The 6?
3 sets of 2 people out there because you're humping it all day long with those 6 people.
Correct.
Anything less than that, and you're probably going to have to start cutting out some of the offices because the meeting times just won't come together very well to be completed all in one day.
Now, if we decide that there's certain ones that we want to put on our priority list and only hit 2/3 of them, yeah, we can get by with less, but I concur with Tony just with experience. An hour appointment's what you shoot for, and if your next appointment is 15 minutes away, it does keep you humping because now you got to make up that time.
Yes. And for short-legged people.
Well, and going through security, you can't go underneath the Capitol anymore, so you have to go out and around. So,
one thing that I would add is that if we did go, Charlene would be covered through NASCO, and I would be through NASCO on the legislative committee. So you would save some costs to the state association from that standpoint, and Illinois might only have to bear the cost for 4 members.
I'd kind of forgotten that because that's what we did the last time. So maybe that's what we should do again, go with the 6 and know that we'll pay for 4.
good point. I forgot about that, too.
Anybody else have any thoughts?
Actually, we only paid for 3 last because we were lucky enough to have a first-timer, but I don't know that they're going to offer that again. Tony, do you know?
There really hasn't been any discussion on it yet. That's something that if it looks like we may be going out there, it'll probably come up for discussion, but nothing's been said at this point.
Okay.
Would they let Illinois have it again anyway?
Well, it was a drawing last,
I know.
So it just depends. If
But
they
look at
did
the
it.
applications, and Deb Staley had a great application.
It said pick me. So, okay, well, why don't we leave it at that? Go with that. We'll stay with the 6. And just the most we may have to pay for is 4.
Sarah, you need a motion for that.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion for that?
What about the stipend part?
Oh, yeah, we should probably do that.
How much have we done in the past? 200?
I think
It
last
wasn't that high, I don't think.
last time it was I think 125
That's what I was leaning to.
is what we paid last time.
I think that's correct.
Is that enough?
I tell you, $125 isn't going to cover all your food.
I didn't think so.
Oh, it doesn't, but
But I think
I know
that's justifiable to the association. I mean, I don't want to charge the association. I don't want members to feel like we're spending or paying them too much. And I know it does take a lot out there, but that's just my opinion.
My feeling, though, is you guys look at the treasurer's report. We have $48,000 in our account. I surely think we can afford to give them $150 each.
I was going to say, up it a little bit. That's good.
I mean,
Is 150 even enough? I mean, I'm thinking of 200, and you're right, Charlene. I saw the treasurer's report with that much money, and it seems like every year we get into the dice type of situation, keeping employee numbers up, keeping offices open, and I think this is pretty serious stuff, the most serious I've ever seen in 25 years. I think our budget can afford to, pay people well to go out there to represent us and not really starve and take something out of their own pocket.
Plus, we have $3,188 in the cookbook fund. Not profit. Woohoo! Woohoo!
and I've got about $120 in the safe to send to you, Tammy, for that too. But
Okay.
I mean, there's a reason, that we need to protect our employees, I agree, and, you know, this money is here, and you need to take care of the employees that are representing you.
Yeah.
I would further add that the people who are going are taking their own annual leave for the benefit of the association as a whole. The more that you cover out of their out-of-pocket expense, I think is well justified because they're using their own leave to try and help out the association.
Right.
All valid points, so I guess we need to decide what is the best thing to do then.
I'd like to make a motion that if we do have a legislative conference, they schedule one, that we send 6 people, $200. What do you think?
Okay, so do we have a second for that?
I'll second it.
And then do we want to discuss it anymore? Does anybody else have anything else to say about it? Anybody? Okay. The motion on the floor is that if a legislative conference comes up in February, that Illinois send 6 members and give them a $200 stipend. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And carried. Do we even need to discuss right now who we would send, or can we cross that bridge when we get there?
Cross it when we get there.
I don't think you need to discuss that at this point. Timing could come into play anyway.
Perfect.
Things can change between now and then, too.
I think things will change. So, okay, next, I don't even remember who I was talking to. They were discussing the Illinois Commodity Conference is coming up. It's November 22nd in Bloomington at the DoubleTree from 7:30 to 2:30. Do you think that we need to, as an association, have some representation there?
We have in the past.
Do you think we need to this year? You know, you're going to have all those different commodity groups there. I've talked to the corn growers president here in Illinois, you know, and shoot, he's in our own county. I couldn't get his support. Is it worth our time in going? It's in Bloomington. It's close to me. I can go.
Is there a cost involved, Sarah? Because if so, I think the association should pick up your cost for at least one to go.
Well, it is, I'd have to get on the website to know for sure how much it is. There is a cost, like a registration and then like the lunch. I want to say it's like $65, but don't quote me on that.
He needs to be there.
You think so?
I think we need a representative, and you would be my first selection as president.
Do you think just one? Do you think we need to have more than one?
In years past, I know that our state office sends, you know, the state committee, Sherry will be there, you know, Rick will be there, even IAC sends people.
I think FSA usually has a booth, don't they?
I've only been to it once, I believe, and it's been a long time ago. I don't remember.
I've been there twice, and I don't think we have.
Okay.
I think IAC handed out, you know, folders with some of their pamphlets in it that just the people walk around. But I don't think they had an organized booth, because an organized booth will cost dollars.
Right.
I think you need to be there because aren't there speakers and stuff there?
Yes. I don't know who the speaker is this year, or the speakers are this year, but somebody just kind of mentioned that in passing to me, that maybe it would be a good idea for us to have some representation there.
Well, I think number one, with the budget woes that everybody's experiencing, and number two, with the the impending farm bill coming up, I think we need eyes and ears there at a minimum.
That's fine with me. I can work it out and I can go. But do you want just me to go, or do you want someone else to go?
I don't have a problem with two, like one of the vice presidents. I think that would be good. And I would even recommend two go and we pay their way.
Another simple suggestion I have, you may think it's quirky, but yes, you can dress nice, but wear something that has FSA on a logo on a shirt.
I totally agree.
Because Sarah, I know who Sarah is, but the other people walk around could care less who Sarah is unless, FSA, they're going to make a connection. She's here to do something with FSA.
Okay. One of the two Brads.
This is Brad G. I'd volunteer to go, but Fricky's scheduled his district meeting that day.
Oh, Brad Powson.
Yes, I would be available if if you need me to be. I know that is something I agree wholeheartedly. Members on our county committee have looked at that conference. I mean, they have it in pretty high regard, so I think it's good we have a presence there. And I'd vote for the other Brad to go, but if he's not available, I'll be glad to step in.
Sarah, Tammy's on the internet, and she says it's $65 before when?
November 8th.
And $90, no, November 14th. And $90 after that, so.
I'm looking on this is Kim Taylor, I'm looking on the internet, and it says November 8th.
Okay, hold on.
But today's
Roberts has got November 14th, so I don't know.
What site are you on, Tammy? Well,
it's the 3rd, so if you tell me you think I need to be there, I will be there, and I can register anytime before the 8th even.
I don't have the authority to make a motion, but I'd like to see somebody make a motion to send both the president and Brad, the vice president, to this on behalf of IASCOE.
I'm glad you finally admitted you don't have any authority, Randy. I've been waiting for that for a long time.
I've made your day. So will you do that, Charlene?
No,
Will you make that?
I'm not Tammy. She's sitting here not saying anything.
There's lots of people not saying anything.
All right, maybe Tammy will say something. Let's send two representatives, Sarah and one of the Brads, to go to this conference, and we pay their registration fee.
And I would recommend mileage, too.
And also mileage, too.
Okay, do we have a second?
Brett?
Okay, do we have any more discussion about it? Okay, with no more discussion, the motion on the floor is that we send two, myself and Brad Powson, to the Illinois Commodities Conference on November 22nd, paying our registration fee and mileage.
Nice.
For
Say there was lunch included in that?
That is included in the registration fee.
All right, just checking.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Motion carried.
Represent us well, guys. I think you will.
Okay, let's move on to committee reports. Tammy, you want to start us off with audit and budget? And I guess you can just go with all yours.
Okay. Audit, I checked it last night, and it was in perfect order. That was good. The only thing left on the convention is, and I won't go through it, in my report, it listed dates for the 2013 and 2014 conventions to be held at the Northfield Inn Suites and Conference Center in Springfield, Illinois. And you can look at that information. And then CapWiz report. CapWiz has been very active the last couple weeks. October 20th, there was an alert for the Dairy Security Act of 2011, H.R. 3062. And October 25th, a CapWiz alert regarding FSA reduction in county office employees. Also, on the NASCO website, and also if you're on Facebook, NARF has been sending out the alerts that NASCO has been piggybacking with and sending those alerts out, so be aware of that. We can send those. You don't have to be a member of NARF to send those. Also, it's always important, if you have a change of email address, get a hold of me and I will contact Tammy Ivy and she will do the changing. She prefers it to do it that way. And also, just like Kathy Frost talked about for membership, if you can get her the home email address, Tammy Ivy also sends out emails related to some of these issues. It's through home emails only. That's besides the CapWiz. They're a different kind of alert type of thing. So really, NASCO's got CapWiz. They're piggybacking with NARF. They got Facebook, and they've got the home emails. So there's no need not to get all this information out to everybody and do what we're supposed to do. That's all I have.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Tammy? Okay, I'm just going to wait and we'll vote on these all at the end. Awards, Becky.
I really don't have anything new, just what I had sent out in my agenda. The DSAs, I need those back to me by February the 1st, and I'd appreciate it if anybody could maybe spread the word a little more this time so we get more than one application. The sick leave awards are still standard, and I'll work with Webmaster to get a little blurb to put on our website.
Okay. If you want, I can send out an email about awards and maybe add that to my list and see if we can send out an email maybe statewide. Sherry's let me do that a couple times, about awards so everybody knows.
Yeah, if you need anything from me, please let me know.
Okay. Thanks, Becky. Does anybody have any questions for her? Okay. Benefits. Vicki.
Yeah, everybody got my report too. The only thing I have to add is I had talked to, or I sent Dee Lee from Iowa a request for anything new, and she just replied to mention about the Sam's Club discount, that it ends December 31st, and that for us to go on and look at the NASCO benefits page. There's a few newer things for all employees about eye care, T-Mobile, and that's all printed on the NASCO webpage. And that's all.
Okay. Thanks. Do we have any questions for Vicki? Mindy.
Mindy's busy. She said to check out the NASCO website for emblems and apparel and all of that good stuff.
Perfect. Les.
Y'all should have gotten my annual letter I send out. Please get that distributed to the rest of the employees and members within your districts. Remember, there's two different scholarships. One is more or less for student-based. The other one is actually for us type of working people. If you're taking a junior college course, a regular college course, you can actually get a $200 award for doing that, but you got to fill out the application. Everything you need to know is write my letter, or you can go to the NASCO.org website. The deadline to get the scholarships back to me is January 20th. If you go to the NASCO website, it's going to say something like February 20th. But you have to have them back to me that earlier so I can get them judged, and I can notify the winners so they can possibly attend the convention in March. So that's why my deadline is earlier than the website deadline. Any questions?
Thanks, Les. Membership?
We have representation in 90 county offices, no members in Stark County, and we still need dues transmittals from Jackson and Saline County. We have 72 counties with 100% membership. We have 441 members out of 487 employees, which gives us a total of 90.5% membership. And to date, we have 21 associate members. That's it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Debbie, programs.
I don't really have anything to add other than, what's in my report that I sent out, so I'm good, if everybody else is good.
Anybody have any questions for Debbie? Okay. Next is Tammy Bowman with Publicity and the Webmaster.
Yeah, I'd like to get out another newsletter, so if you have any additional information, please send that to me by the 21st of November. I will put in what we have here from our meeting today, but if there's anything else, any pictures you'd like to submit from the national convention or anything in your offices or districts, please forward that to me. I talked a little bit with the state office regarding the printing of the newsletter. They will continue to print that this year, but it's possible we might have to look into other means of distribution. So that's something we may want to talk about today, as far as gathering email addresses and sending it electronically, or what your thoughts are on that type of thing.
I don't see any problem sending it electronically, probably because there's some legislative stuff in there that probably means we need to send it to home email. Is that correct?
Yes.
So
Can you actually send it from home to a work computer? Just if it's got legislative, you just can't forward it? Am I thinking correctly here?
that's true.
Because they say you cannot control what comes into your box, you can control what goes out. The only thing about that is going to be getting home email addresses from all your associate members.
True.
And it can be posted on the website. I know that's what several of the states, we've actually been very fortunate, number one, that our state office is printing ours. There are some state offices who don't even have print shops for themselves, let alone are they printing their association newsletters. And I do know that they send them electronically, they post them on the website. The only thing is going to be getting the addresses of the people who we need to reach out to besides our own internal members. But I think it's doable. We're just going to have to work a little harder.
Yeah. I think we need to be working on it because we will probably, I know that they have told some county offices that they cannot print their newsletters. Maybe they've told them all, I don't know. But, so I would think that we can't be too far behind.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with you, Sarah.
So,
is it something that I could get email addresses from the database, or is that not an option?
I would think we could share the information. I mean,
Wouldn't we be able to at least send it to one contact within each county? I mean, there's, on the national FSA website, it does give all the managers, we don't have a county email anymore, but it does list the CD, list of FLMS, there is one. We would still have our own network of IASCOE directors.
I think you could do that and then have the CED or whoever you choose to send it to print it out and share it with the office.
And then just add those to your list of all your IASCOE directors, and then any home emails, and just make a broadcast. That's a suggestion I have.
Well, I'm really hoping that every IASCOE director has some kind of a distribution list or a contact list for when information is sent out that they are making contact with those members.
I think a lot do, Charlene, but I think when I was director, I did it from my work email, not my home email. So if they did not have the home email or did not have the list at home, that's where the problem is presented.
But there's ways around that, and I would hope we're figuring that out, because if we're not, I'm afraid we're not getting out this other information either, such as CapWiz information. I'm just throwing that out there that if we're not, we need to figure out how to, because we're entering dire straits and crisis time, if you want to call it that, as far as our survival. And if we're not doing a good job at getting our information out, we need to get on it.
Right. I think if we're not getting it out, it's going to be imperative that we do.
Right.
So, well, then we should probably just plan on or start working on getting that information so we will be able to do that when the time comes.
Might be a good thing even to mention at our convention the importance of having a sign up for email, so we can create our own database as well. I know that, Charlene, you've been diligent for this national database, and
I'm not database anymore. Kathy Frost is maintaining that, and she's doing a great job.
And I think we ought to continue that. I just think we could create our own Illinois one and push that at the convention too. It's just a thought.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Do we have anything else with that? Do you think we need to figure out today?
I think this has been good discussion. At this point, we need to start thinking. I don't know if we need to have an actual plan in place, but yeah, I think we need to start thinking and come up with some ideas, and I think we've done that.
Okay. Do you want to add anything, Tammy?
Maybe it's something everybody can think about, and at our IASCOE convention,
we can hash it out further.
Did it and see what ideas everybody has. Because when they said indicated this year, when does this year end? They didn't indicate a deadline when they would not send it anymore, but I see that coming. I mean, I've got a newsletter here for the county office that I can't send out, so I can't imagine that they're going to allow us to continue.
No, I would think it's coming. So,
I think you still can do the alerts, Ken. If I understand correctly, you can just simply use official email or whatever and say, hey, there's an alert coming, check your home email or check the IASCOE website, and that's all you can say.
Yeah, it's nice cap whiz, so.
Yeah, you got to be careful on what you say.
There's some terminology you cannot use in your government email.
Yeah, and
that's true.
Be very careful about that.
I made the boo-boo. So, Tammy, thanks for being on top of that, checking that. I'm not real sure that I would have thought to think about. I know I wouldn't have thought of it, so.
No problem.
Does anybody else have anything for Tammy?
Do you have webmaster information that you need from your district yet?
Do you have something else, Tammy?
Charlene's asking me something. Just a minute.
Okay.
All your district information. I've got to recreate all of that. And Charlene was asking me if I had all the district information. I have to recreate all of that because things have changed.
Right. And
things have changed since the last time I put it on, so I've taken it all off. And I think I'll probably wait until December 1st or whenever these new district lines come out so we can
make sure it's accurate or whatever.
Because it's going to change again.
That it will. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, I hope you all have your seatbelts buckled because Tony's going to take off. And I think he probably has quite a bit, so have at it, Tony.
All right, this discussion has led right into exactly what I want to talk about, and that's communication here among our members. We are entering a very perilous and critical time within our agency. We've got a farm bill that they're working on policy right now that we're not certain exactly what direction that it's going to take. We have a number of different programs that do not have funding, SURE being one of the programs that does not have any funding for 2012, and what is not included in the baseline budget that the Ag Committee has to work with for the next farm bill. So the SURE program, if they want to continue something along the lines of the SURE program, they would have to make cuts somewhere else in order to utilize and make that program available to them. So we very well may lose the SURE program. In reading through all of the different farm bill proposals submitted by all the agriculture groups, I've read approximately 10 to 12 different Farm Bill proposals, they virtually all have abandoned direct payments. So we pretty well, and everything that I'm hearing from Washington, from what the congressmen are saying, from what the farm groups are saying, from what the general public is saying, direct payments are in jeopardy of being eliminated. I would give it about a 95% probability that they will no longer be available in the next Farm Bill. There's no certainty that the things that we have going on in our office right now will even be available in the next Farm Bill. It looks like this farm policy, on the direction of where farm policy is likely going to go for the next Farm Bill, FSA, if things go bad, could be left out in the cold, and we could be losing thousands of employees if there's not very much work for us left in this next Farm Bill. Some of the proposals that some of the commodity groups have put out there, pretty much all of them have supported crop insurance subsidies to farmer premiums. And then some of them go on with different alternatives as an additional risk management tool. And at least about a third of that additional ideas that they have from the different groups of the 10 or 12 Farm Bill policies that I've read would be handled by crop insurance. Some of the others maybe would be handled by Farm Service Agency, I think, but it's not spelled out that specifically to say that Farm Service Agency would have an acre-like type of a program that would be different than acre, but kind of along the same guidelines as acre. So there's an awful lot of nervousness among the NASCO leadership, I think rightfully so, because we don't know exactly what direction farm policy is going to go, and if it goes very badly, it could go very badly for a lot of our employees that we have, and we could lose a whole lot. So it is very important that all of the information that gets sent out to the states reach all of the members, and that all of the board of directors make sure that all of the members within the state get the information and know how important it is to actually send those CapWiz alerts, how important it is to participate in contributing to the PAC, because that's another tool that if we can get the PAC, if we can double the size of the PAC right now, we can hit all of the Ag Committee members at the maximum amount that we can give to them for their campaigns, and that generates a lot of attention to what we're saying. And a lot of what we're saying are, hey, we're out here, you know our past track record, we can get the job done, and we can get the job done cheaper than anybody else can. And that's the approach that we're taking right now. Now, Farm Bill policy, it could be put together by the 4 leaders on the Senate and Ag Committee leaders. I know they've been trying to put together the structure of a Farm Bill and submit that to the Budget Super Committee and pretty much have the nuts and bolts of the Farm Bill worked out there for the commodity titles, for all of Title I, and for the conservation title, which I think is Title II. If, in fact, they can come to an agreement and get that submitted to the Super Committee, if the Super Committee adopts what they are suggesting and it makes sense that the Super Committee would try and follow whatever the various committees would propose to them for budget savings, then if the Super Committee adopts those, presents them to the full Congress and to the Senate, if the full House and Senate end up passing that deficit reduction package, it's an up or down vote. There are no amendments that can be made. That's the advantage of having the Farm Bill go through that process, is a lot of tug of war things that would be going on to try and alter things last minute would not occur. And by going through the Budget Committee, Deficit Committee process, then there is a greater protection against trying to raid farm policy in future years for budget cuts because it's gone through this process. So it doesn't quite exempt it from future budget cuts, but it does lend a great deal of stability there that otherwise would not be there for future farm bill. We're not certain if it'll actually go through this process, so we're that's part of why we did the targeted fly-in to Washington and meet with the super committee members to present the idea that FSA is here and that we can help save you money with these ideas that we have and streamline USDA, simplify things for farmers, and it makes sense to do that, and you can also help shrink the cost of government as well. So that's basically what we've been approaching it from. Ultimately, the Farm Bill does not go through the super committee process, then we're back to the regular process. Then it's much more likely that we'll need to have the fly-in in February. Even if we have the Farm Bill established in February, it's possible that the 2013 budget would be hot and heavy at that time. We might need to do the full legislative conference in February to try and impact the budget process as well. There's an awful lot of unknowns at this point on exactly where we'll be, but we're tentatively putting some plans together for a legislative conference in case there is one needed. And then if it turns out that we decide that we don't need to have the full conference, then we can call it off early enough that no state then would have the expense out there. But we know that there are states out there that would need to plan ahead for the cost of it, so we're sending the word out about the possibility of a full legislative conference in probably a February time frame of this next year in case there's one that's needed. This is going to be the most important farm bill of our careers, and I think that this is going to define the direction of farm policy probably for the next decade or maybe couple of decades. We're likely to lose direct payments. We're going to take a whole new direction in farm policy. Either it will include FSA or it will not include very much for FSA. So it's very important that we're hitting on all cylinders, that we're contributing to the NASCO PAC so that our voice gets as much attention as what we possibly can with members of Congress, that on the CapWiz alerts when they come out, that everyone sends those off immediately so that we make as much impact that way. In case it drags out for into next year for farm policy, we're going to want county committee members to be members of NAFEC, because that'll strengthen NAFEC, and NAFEC can lobby members of Congress on foreign policy issues that we as an employee benefits association are not allowed to address directly. And so the stronger that we make NAFEC, the more stability we put into FSA for the future as well. We also help solidify the position of the county committees and oversight of our programs, which is very popular, and we want to maintain that. And we don't always get the support from within FSA at the national level for county committees, so we have to rely upon NAFEC sending that message to members of Congress that farmers want locally elected members to oversee the functioning of the office and make decisions at as local a level as possible. Employee benefits. I don't know if you've read a lot about all of those, but the most recent thing that I've seen is that the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform sent the recommendations to the Deficit Supercommittee for consideration. I gave a list in my report. There are some very big, important items that affects everyone in that list. It could eliminate FERS for new hires. We could eliminate step increases because whenever we had a freeze on our salary, all they really did was take away our COLA. Well, members of Congress realized that we still get step increases, and they're saying it's not a true freeze, and occasionally there's newspaper articles that point this out, which makes it look bad again, so the story keeps surfacing over and over again. some members of Congress want to eliminate step increases, which could affect quite a number of us. There are proposals out there to continue to freeze on the COLAs through 2015. There is a proposal out there to dramatically increase what we pay into FERS for employees that would continue to pay into FERS, that would be existing employees, from 0.8% that you currently pay in, increase it to as much as 7%, which would be half of the total cost of your FERS annuity. That's a huge increase. For a PT at a grade 7, step 10, that would be close to, I believe it's $45 a pay period more, if I remember right. For CEDs, that would be pretty close to double that, right around $100 a pay period. Don't know what your health insurance cost went up, but I know mine went up by about 30% for the HMO that I have, and with a freeze on my COLA right now, that hurts. So these are things that directly affect your paycheck right now, and if they change them for your retirement, will affect your retirement. Even one more reason why we need to be unified in our voice and active, like what we were for FSA Tomorrow, and sending these CapWiz alerts and talking to members of Congress and meeting with our local members of Congress when they're back home in the district. We need all of those things to happen on a grand scale from every PT and CED in the state, because we have not faced any more dire times than what we have right now. Probably at the beginning of December, we'll be having a promotion to promote NAFEC membership. I'd like to have at least all of the CEDs or one other member from each office to present the information to the county committee. If there are some CEDs that are uncomfortable with talking about that with their members, what we're hoping on putting together is a link onto a website that all you have to do is click the button and it will present information about NAFEC, like a recording, a video recording about NAFEC, and then all you have to do is say, I have membership forms available if you feel like it's important to belong to this organization. It is a good organization, and they have helped out in making sure that decision-making stays at the local level, and they have benefited FSA in the past. That way, those who are uncomfortable in soliciting membership from the county committee, it's more easy for them to do that, and we would hope that this would be a means by which they can approach their county committee more comfortably. Again, I would encourage every member to start contributing to the NASCO PAC, because it's vital that we have that tool as strong as what we can in order to make as much difference in this critical time as what we are. And if we get massive numbers of people contributing even $1 per pay period, that money adds up very quickly when you're talking about 100 or 200 people in the state of Illinois contributing. So even that can make a difference. I will mention the promotion that we have. Anyone who starts a payroll allotment or increases an existing payroll allotment by $3 per pay period or more, NASCO will send them a $10 bill as a thank you, and their name will go into a drawing at the National Convention for five $100 bill drawings. And I think that's all that I have right now. I've pretty well said everything that we have up to date right now in my report that I have. Please disseminate that report out to all the members within your district. And if anyone has any questions about how to enroll in the PAC and subscribe to CapWiz, or have any questions on anything else, certainly have them give me a call and I can answer the questions or walk them right through the process. Starting a PAC contribution only takes a couple of minutes, and it's painless. With that, I'll wrap up my report.
Tony, for those that signed up, I've got the one in my office that signed up. Where do we need to get that form that they need to send to you so they know, or send to whoever, so that they know that that money is being contributed?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me, Sarah. I forgot to send that form to you. And there is a PAC contribution form that needs to be filled out and sent in to me, or mailed in to Charlotte Daly, who is one of the other LEDGE team members, and her address is on the form. I can send that form to Sarah, and if you wanted to send it out to the directors,
okay,
then that's how we can get that form out to everyone. On the NASCO website, there are instructions on how to contribute to the NASCO PAC, but you have to have a password to get into that site assigned to you, because the instructions contains the bank account information for the NASCO PAC, and so we want to limit that only to people who are going to be involved with contributing to the PAC. But I can walk any member through it over the phone in just a couple of minutes, and it's much simpler that way and much quicker.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Tony?
I just noticed one other note on, there was one proposal that now there is a bill in Congress, H.R. 3029. It was supposed to go to markup by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform today, and that is to reduce the workforce by 10% through attrition, by hiring only one employee for every 3 employees, and that they would accomplish the 10% reduction by 2015.
What was that number again? H.R.
3029.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for him? Tony always does a good job. He's always very thorough. I know he's talked to me several times this week, or I'm sorry, I've talked to you. And so, yeah, I just appreciate everything he's done and keeping us up to date. If nobody has any questions for him, we need to make a motion to accept the committee reports. Do I have a motion?
This is Carla, so move.
And do I have a second?
I second Tammy Bowman.
All those in favor of accepting the committee reports signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. I sent out my president's report today. I was the last one to get mine in, I'll have you know. I did it kicking and screaming. This was probably the hardest report, partially because I was trying to be somewhat positive, even though there are lots of days I don't necessarily feel that way myself. You know, it's hard to stay upbeat. Things are not going to be, I think it's safe to say it's not going to be pretty. There's going to be it's going to be rough, I think, a long, rough winter. I know that I have to go to a different office, and I'll be doing that kicking and screaming too, but I'm going to go because I need a job. I just think we have to still come in every day. We still have to do our job. And there are going to be days when that's hard for all of us, because there's going to be a lot of changes for all of us. So that really was, you know, the gist of my report. I can't tell you the timeline of when all these staffing changes are going to be. I think it's going to be pretty quick. I mean, that's just my feeling on it. You know, have heard some rumors, but whether that's true or not, I don't know. Office consolidations, I think there's a pretty good chance those are going to happen. Whether they do or don't, I don't know. There's lots of unknowns, which is probably partially what drives me the craziest, but right now we have a job. We have a job to do, and that's what we need to do. Tony summed it up, if you want to have that job, we need to jump on the CapWiz alerts, join the pack. We need to do whatever we can do to help ourselves out. So, that's really all I have. Do you guys have questions for me?
No, but I'm going to make a statement. We have 487 employees in Illinois, and we had, in the last alert in Illinois, 30 CapWiz alerts sent. Now, I don't know about you, but I like to think that more of those 487 employees would like to keep their job than 30. And I think it's going to be on the director's shoulders. Get the message out and encourage these people to be CapWiz subscribers, and for those that are, use it. Being a CapWiz subscriber is not enough. You've got to use it. NASCO pays $18,000 a year for that service, and it's well worth it. It can be helpful for us to have positive influence in Washington, but not if only 30 people out of Illinois from 487 use it. And I can't stress enough that we have got to get our message out.
What are some ideas to do that more so than what we're doing?
I have a question, though. Of the 487 members in Illinois, how many are on the database? Do we have that figure? I have to ask, but the CapWiz is different than the database. Those are two different, but Kathy's main. Kathy, do you know how many email addresses you have in the database?
No, I'll have to count those up.
I'm just curious what percentage it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The CapWiz emails are separate from the database, but if Illinois wants to use the database to send out information, I think, that we could send our own. I know sometimes nationally they use the database to send out information, but I would think we could use it for our own use as well.
I would think so.
But we need to reach out. I wonder if during this membership drive that we're going to do, if we shouldn't send something out to the counties to, explain the need for just specific on the database and asking for home email addresses. And I wonder, part of the thing is when we did that dues transmittal, that middle column used to ask for home mailing addresses, and I changed it several years ago when we started the national database to say home email, but I wonder how many of them really realize that column is there. I don't know if it's oversight or they just don't take the time to fill it out or what, but I wonder if maybe we couldn't do a push to get, some more.
Yeah. Eileen, in the March minutes, I was trying to think what our CapWiz number, and I have my March minutes. There was 199 Illinois subscribers for CapWiz in March.
So that's almost half.
Yeah.
But still only 30 out of that 199 sent this last CapWiz alert.
Right.
Out of that 30, this county office in my place better have sent them because I've, drilled it in their head, and they usually do what I say. So, that would take care of 5 or 6 of those if they did what they were told. They're pretty good about it.
Well, and I had concern. NASCO, at our organizational meeting in Boise, which was the end of September, we talked about, and they have created a NASCO email account, And so now instead of getting messages from Angie Bierman or somebody else whom nobody knows, they've created a NASCO email account. Hopefully that's going to help these emails be more recognizable, that they are coming from NASCO and not from somebody they don't know and either, goes to their spam or what have you. So if you didn't get the last alert, and I'm going to tell you, I did not get the last alert, and it did not go in my spam either. I don't know what happened to it, because Tammy Ivey said that out of over 3,000 alerts that went out, only 65 of them bounced back. I was really concerned that that alert didn't actually get to some mailboxes, and that's why, too, when you get an alert, it's so important to let your district know that an alert went out, and don't just assume that they got it, because I'm real concerned about how many actually got that last alert.
Well, Charlene, I didn't get it either, and I saw it on Facebook. That's how I found out about most of the alerts, is Tammy Ivey, posted on Facebook on an IASCOE saying, it's not working, here's what's been sent out, and here's the link.
So and that's why it's just important when Tony and I try and send messages out, me being exec and Tony being the legislative chair, on when these alerts go out. We need to communicate that, even if you got a message in your email, people can go on the NASCO website and access the alert that way if they don't get a notice themselves.
I've been trying to send out emails to the directors letting them know when there's an alert that has been sent. I just have to know not to put CapWiz again.
CapWiz or legislative or,
I think I spelled it all out this last time, so. Anyway, does anybody else have any other questions?
Sarah, I was going to say the alerts, I think that works good. We can forward that on, that just to check the alert. I have a question, maybe it's a silly question, but if I'm understanding what we've been saying here, I can tell that probably in our district here, even though we've got a lot of good information, what the members here want to see, I know they want to see this legislative report. If I'm understanding what you're saying, you're telling me that's something I cannot forward from my government computer. Is that correct?
That's correct, because it talks about packing CapWiz in it.
Okay.
Nothing that solicits membership, nothing that solicits legislative items, PAC, lobbying, anything like that can be sent from a government email.
He had the database at his home computer. He could send from his home computer to the government computer.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Couldn't forward it on. When you get it, you got to stop right there. You can't forward it anymore.
Okay.
So then, too, it's a good idea to put a disclaimer on the bottom of it. Then if they forward it on, then they made that choice to put a disclaimer on the bottom of it, and you'll see that on a lot of NASCO emails that says, do not forward this message from any government computer.
Okay.
So if you send something out to your district, and you send it from your home, and I'll tell you what, being the conservation advisor, I made contact with the conservation people in each of my offices and asked them, is it okay if I have something, NASCO-wise to send out, can I send it to you from my home computer and you share the information with your office? I mean, you can set it up that way, too. You can have one contact, and, ideally, it would be a good idea if not only the CED did that and maybe contacted the CEDs, but also the PT district or your PT representative on the board do it. Maybe the CED person is out the week that alert goes out, to still get that information out. Just send it, set it up where you send it to one person in each office in your district and have them get the information to the rest of the office without forwarding it from their government email.
Well, I've tried in the past to get home emails from the each county in the district. Very, very poor response, so it seems like that's my only option is to send it from home to the government computer, so that's...
Well, as long as they're not as long as you don't send it from your government computer, and as long as you put the disclaimer on it,
Yep.
that, you know, you're telling them not to forward it from their government, then it's up to them, you know.
They can't afford it, but they can print it, correct?
That's true.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Do we have anything else?
I did have one thing I wanted to mention. It was just a quick note, small item, but you know, I've kind of voiced my opinion on the conference call. But regardless of that, whether it's good or bad, I did want to let you know that I was contacted and by some of the members thanking us for having a conference call. They view that, just like we've been talking budget, they view that as a money savings item that we're doing. So I just want to pass on that it was appreciated by the members.
Good. Worked out well then.
Yes.
Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Ask? Okay, if not, our next meeting will be March 23rd. I put 10 a.m. at the Wren Lake Resort. Be sure, and I'll try and get an email out with the number and everything so you can call and make your reservations. And if nobody has anything else to add, I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn. This is Vicki.
Do we have a second?
Tammy, second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All 7 of you that are still on. Okay, well then have a good evening.
You too, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, everybody.
You too.